course, it's an honor and pleasure to be here. I will share my screen and then I will get started. Okay. So today obviously we called it Empowering Hope. We want to talk about the work we do, the work that I do here at Friendship Circle of Wisconsin, but most importantly, the work that all of you can take away from this conversation, things that you can do to really help people get through, their thoughts of suicide, help and understand what we can do as a community to make a difference. So just a little bit about me. My name is Levi Stein. I'm a certified safeTALK suicide prevention trainer since 2020. I've been in the field for pretty much my whole life, but I started doing suicide prevention specifically after COVID. When COVID happened, I saw the need just really shine in ways that we never thought possible, with so many of our even kids and teens that were struggling with thoughts of suicide, that we just had to do something. And that's when we really, as an organization, really went in deep into the work of mental health, the work of suicide prevention. So at the Friendship Circle of Wisconsin, again, we're all about friendship. We're about including people with disabilities, people with mental health challenges in the community. We do that through three separate pillars within Friendship Circle. One is we have an employment training program, which is where adults with disabilities go through a 12-month program and we prepare them for the working world. When they graduate, if we don't have a space to hire them, we help them find employment out in the community. We also, on the other side, we do lots of youth and adult social programs, so everything from bowling, music, and all kinds of social activities just to give them a community. Community is worth so much. Then obviously in the center, we have our You Matter, which is our mental health division of Friendship Circle, where we do suicide prevention trainings, we do teen mental health support groups, we do parent support groups, we have a podcast, which I'll talk about a little bit later, and just other mental health programming throughout the year. And again, this is the work that we do at Friendship Circle, but everyone can do this work on their own, creating a community for someone else, really building that network that tells people they're not alone. And that's so, so important. The friendship is just really the world to so many people. When it comes to suicide prevention, the stats are staggering. I didn't just write it, I really, really mean it. The statistics you see here on the page are just in the US, so this isn't worldwide statistics, but think about it. Close to 50,000 people died by suicide in 2023. That's a death every 11 minutes. Okay, that means 12.8 million people seriously thought about suicide, 3.7 million people made a plan for suicide, and 1.5 million people attempted suicide. And, it's a scary thought, for people, teenagers and young adults. It's the second leading cause of death. In some populations, it's the number one leading cause of death. And people always say, oh, no one cares about me. I don't have a reason to live. They can give you all the reasons in the world for suicide. But in reality is the average person who dies by suicide, it affects 135 people close to them. That's family, friends, coworkers. So people do care about others, and we just have to show them that. And when they're having thoughts of suicide, they're in a crisis. They're in a position that they don't necessarily see beyond their crisis. And we have to show them that there's a community around them that cares. To think that 18% of public high school students are considering suicide just in the last 12 months, that's just something that we really want that number, obviously, to shrink to zero. So that's why we're having this conversation. This isn't just a, rare thing that happens, once, a couple times a year. This is happening every 11 minutes that someone dies by suicide, and people are attempting suicide pretty much ongoing. So I want to share with you a story. This is one of my inspirations of getting involved in the topic in the field of suicide prevention. So this story goes back to when I was 19 years old and I was a student in Morristown, New Jersey. And I had a friend of mine gave me a call. This is a friend that I grew up with, and he was someone who I was close with, right? But at that time, I didn't talk to him for about 3 to 4 months at the time. He went to North Carolina, I went to New Jersey. And when he called me, it was midnight. And he's like, "Hi, Levi, how are you?" And I'm like, "I'm doing great. How are you?" And he's like, I'm doing fine. What's going on? And we spoke about 2 minutes with a really dry conversation. And it was odd to me that he would call me for the first time in several months. And he would ask me how I'm doing and talk for 2 minutes at midnight. I had so many things I wanted to talk to him about, and it really seemed like he wasn't interested. So I stopped and I spoke to him and I said, tell me what's going on. You didn't call me at this time just to talk for 2 minutes. And this is the story that he shared with me. He said that when he went to North Carolina, life seemed okay. Life seemed good. Life seemed like, he had a job, he was in college, he had a girlfriend, everything was kind of going okay. But then things changed. He got involved in a bad group of friends. He started stealing and selling drugs. He started to get involved in, you know, activities that were not so good. And eventually he was caught. And when he was caught, his girlfriend broke up with him eventually. College suspended him. He got fired from his job, and he had a potential 5 to 10 year prison sentence awaiting him. And he said, Levi, I just want to talk to someone who would not judge me before I take my life. And when I heard that, I was just like, what am I going to do? What can you do I'm trying to like reach through the phone to get through to him. And I didn't know what to do. And I asked him to make me a pledge. I said, can you promise me that for the next 24 hours, you won't do anything that you can't take back? Give me one day. I just need to process this. I need to see if to really, there's anything I can do to really make a difference. And if I can't make a difference, then I will leave you alone. I'm going to stop for a moment. People are saying they can't hear me, but I don't know if there's anything else I can do. Give me 1 second.
I think we can hear you. So there's only like one person. So we
Okay.
advise that one person to turn up the volume
Anyways,
on her device.
so I got him to make me this pledge to tell me that he'll give me 24 hours. But he's like, Levi, you don't run the justice system. You can't make this 5 to 10 year prison sentence go away. My family's not talking to me. You're really the only person that picked up the phone. So there's nothing really you can do. But the truth is, it's really late right now. I don't mind waiting one more day. We can talk tomorrow. And, you know, and that's it. So I hung up the phone and I booked a flight the next morning to Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And I got off the plane there and I rented a car, I went to his house, I knocked on the door and he answered the door. I woke him up and what I saw in the apartment, it was a complete mess. But I told him, pack some clothes and we're going somewhere else. I just needed to get him out of there. And I took him to the only friend that I had in North Carolina who happened to live in Chapel Hill, which was about an hour and a half drive away. I took him there. We spent the night there, and I got him mental health support and a lawyer to represent him that was able to kind of get him out of crisis for that moment. And I'm going to fast forward to today to tell you in brief what happened from then till now. He ended up getting 6 months probation, no prison time. His family reaccepted him. Eventually, he applied to college, a different school in Michigan. He got back into school. He met a new person who he eventually married and has 2 kids with. He finished school and went to medical school, then went to residency, and today runs the emergency room in the big hospital in Atlanta, Georgia. And I share this because when he was in his crisis, he couldn't see beyond the crisis. All he saw was that people kind of rejected him. He had a prison sentence pending, and that's all he saw. I didn't do anything really, you know, beyond just being there for him, just showing him that there are people who care about him and that not everything is as bad as it seems. And again, you never know the impact you can make. And by really doing something, even if it's small, you could really help save a life. Now, something from the other side that's interesting, at that same time, I was struggling. I was struggling with my own mental health journey. And when I had this opportunity to help him, it helped me. It helped give me reason to want to go further. It helped me give reason to want to live. It helped me kind of do so much more. And that's something that we can all gain from. Anytime you help someone else, that is one of the most incredible things that you can do. So the need is now. We have to we have to have a plan to make an impact today. People are dying every single day, and we can talk about it for 25 minutes right now, but we really have to do something about it. And I want to, spend a few minutes really talking about what can we do in our own communities, whether you live in Wisconsin, California, or really anywhere else. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So I want to, if there's one takeaway from this conversation, I want to encourage everyone to get trained in suicide prevention. We don't have time in this call to do that, but I encourage you to do it. And I'm going to introduce to you 3 different types of trainings that are out there. So the shortest, most accessible training is QPR, gatekeeper training. QPR stands for question, persuade, refer. I actually just finished one of those trainings just a few minutes ago, right before I started. It's a 1-hour training. You can do it online or in person, and you can sign up and take a training. So that is at the very least something that all of us can do. It gives you really the awareness. It talks to you about how to recognize when someone's having thoughts of suicide, how to question, how to ask the question, are you having thoughts of suicide? And the most important part is how to get them help. Then I'm going to go to the other side, the LivingWorks Assist training. So Assist is a 2-day training. It has to be done in person, and it really goes deeply, much deeper than the QPR training. Obviously, you're spending 2 days on it. That's when you really not only learn the skills to recognize and ask and refer, but you're also learning how to create that safety plan, how to really get the person help, and how to help keep that person safe for now. And then there's a training in the middle. This is the one that I actually do the most commonly, safeTALK suicide prevention training. It's a 4-hour training, so it's a half-day training. It is in person, but really gives you significantly more time than QPR to practice and role play and talk about different scenarios and really go deep into the different scenarios that you want to practice and how to do all the skills, and you walk out with the confidence to do it. So these are some really good trainings to help prepare you to help someone else. Um, since I like to advocate safeTALK the most, again, it's a one-time 4-hour training for anyone ages 15 plus. It is an evidence-based training. You can get CEU credits for the safeTALK training. It's portable, which means this training can be brought to you, whether you bring me to wherever you are or you hire a local trainer. Either way, it can be brought to you and has an immediate role in saving lives. In Wisconsin, we're the only organization offering it, and I can tell you we've trained so many people with this. It really, really helps save lives. Locally, just to share with you what we've been doing this past year, first of all, from the surveys of people we trained, 98.6% of individuals surveyed after training felt well prepared or mostly prepared to talk to someone openly about their suicidal thoughts. We did already in 2025, 41 trainings in what we call the We Can Save Lives Tour, which trained over 1,000 people just this year. And since we started doing the trainings in 2020, we trained over 3,000 people. And obviously, we've been doing this for 5 years now here in Wisconsin. So now I'd like to show you a video about QPR. This will give you a little, just a little glimpse into what the QPR training is. So I'm going to share my screen to the video, and please let me know if you do not hear it. One second.
Research shows that the odds of surviving a heart attack in a public place are 10 times greater in regions where thousands of ordinary citizens are trained in CPR. It's called bystander rescue. When someone shows signs of experiencing cardiac arrest, the response of nearby friends, family, or coworkers is critical. The effective use of CPR doubles or triples one's chances of surviving a heart attack. Like CPR, QPR is an emergency intervention for someone experiencing a life-threatening crisis. QPR is easy to learn and easy to remember. But it takes courage to overcome our fears about reaching out to help someone who may be considering suicide. Research also shows that where QPR is widely taught, suicide attempts and deaths decrease. Just like CPR, QPR requires quick, bold, and informed action. Because suicide, like heart attacks, remains a rare event, we must train hundreds to save one, thousands to save hundreds, and millions to save thousands. There is an old Welsh saying, "No great misery goes unspoken." When we have a toothache, we tell people. We don't hide our pain. But because of the stigma and taboo around the word suicide, many people considering suicide don't speak plainly about their suffering. They fear our rejection. They fear that if they say something, we will ridicule them or make fun of them. As a result, people thinking about suicide often use indirect language. They hint at what they're thinking of doing. They send us coded messages, and they suffer in silence. Called suicide warning signs, QPR training teaches you how to recognize these warning signs, quickly decode them, and then question the person in an informed and compassionate manner to learn if they are considering suicide. Just as talking about physical pain helps diminish it, talking about suicide with someone willing and able to listen reduces psychological pain almost immediately. Trained QPR gatekeepers are merchants of hope, and hope helps prevent suicide. Millions of people have now been trained in QPR. Rigorous independent research studies support QPR as effective, and thousands of personal stories assure us that QPR is saving lives. When you use QPR, not everyone will be suicidal. Some people are simply stressed to the breaking point, but they still need help. Help you can give. Please note that you cannot put the idea of suicide into someone's mind. People are either thinking about suicide or they're not. The fear of putting the idea of suicide into someone's head is a myth that keeps us from acting when we should do just the opposite. QPR is a universal intervention for people in pain, whether they're thinking about suicide or not. While it takes a special courage to overcome our fears, we will teach you how to ask about suicide and to offer hope through listening. Listening is the power tool that restores hope in the hopeless. We know you can do this, and we will show you how. Preventing suicide. It's what people do.
So that gives you a little glimpse into what QPR is, to what safeTALK is, and hopefully inspires you. I'm going to get back to my slides 1 second. And hopefully will inspire you to really get trained, make a difference, be there for people in your community, be there for your coworkers, for your family members, to ask about suicide, to get them connected to help. And I can tell you the work we've done here has really, it gains, these are some clips of media attention, but it really matters because people need it and we can save lives. And in terms of which training is right for you, pick what works best for you, for your schedule, for the way you're able to do it. But ultimately, we want you to do something. We want you to get trained. We want you to really be there for other people. Another really great program, and I'm sharing this because it doesn't matter where you are, it's something you can do. We started a podcast called the Wish You Knew Podcast. Okay, it's where teens interview other teens about their mental health. If anyone here wants to follow it, you can go to fcwi.org/podcast. You can follow it on Spotify. It is so inspiring to listen and hear about the stories of what our youth, what our teens are going through today. And because obviously people can be interviewed even over the phone, even if you are not local to Wisconsin, which I don't know if anyone here is, but you're still able to get onto the podcast and listen to it from anywhere in the world. This has also gained a lot of media attention locally, and it's just, again, so inspiring to watch kids just share their story, be vulnerable, and really go on to the next step. So we have now, I think, 5 minutes. I'm happy to take any questions. I'm happy to work with you on anything more in the topic, and I'm here to listen.
So, Levi, for us, for our community here at Contra Costa, we have a crisis center. So anybody can call because there was a question, are any of these offered through our health system? What we have right now is call 988 if there's any crisis, or text HOPE, HOPE, to 20121. So those are the easiest way to remember. And yes, I will. Oh, so the info at fcw.org, you will be basically including them on the mailing list.
If anyone wants to reach out to me, that email comes to me. And if I can talk about in terms of how to reach out. Yes, 988 is an excellent resource within the United States. It actually is a phone number that started here in Wisconsin, but it is now nationwide. So yes, you can use that 24/7, but always pay attention to local resources, to local mental health walk-in clinics. I don't know if you have a Rogers Behavioral Health Hospital, or it's important to be up to date on what local resources are out there. But yes, 988 is always there. It's always an option, and you should use it. Use it, and don't tell someone to call 988. Call 988 together with them. Show them that you're a part of their network of support to help them.
So Levi, for example, for us, if some of us are affected by this for sure in our community, how can we strengthen ourselves so that we can be ready to support them? Let's say we don't have the training yet. What is the best tip?
The best tip is to not be afraid to ask the question. Okay. So many people are afraid that they're going to give the idea of suicide by just asking the question. So many people are afraid that by asking the question, the person's not going to be friends with them anymore. They're not going to or they're going to say it's none of your business. Know that asking the question is not going to give the idea. That has been proven over and over. So feel confident to ask the question. When you ask it very directly. Say, are you thinking of suicide? You can ask the question after you have the conversation, after you recognize the signs, but make sure you ask the question at some point in that conversation and be direct. Don't just say, are you okay? Because someone who's having thoughts of suicide is going to be okay in their mind via suicide. So don't just say, are you going to harm yourself? Because self-harm and suicide really are two different things. Self-harm is someone that intends to stay alive. They're inflicting pain to try to let the pain pass through, but they don't intend to die. So someone who, if you ask someone, are you going to harm yourself? The person will say, no, I'm not going to harm myself. But what they're not going to tell you is because they have a plan for suicide. So the most important thing is ask the question directly, and don't delay. Ask right away. Be confident. It is your business because suicide is a matter of life and death, and then connect them to professional help.
So there was a question, what helpful tips can you give to detect and prevent suicide from people close to us? So what is the detection really, the red flag?
So in safeTALK, we call the red flags invitations. And I think that's very helpful because when you call it an invitation, it takes away that fear of getting involved because it's really an invitation for you to get involved. So there's so many different types of invitations. Sometimes will people be more direct about it, or their behavior will really show it. And sometimes it'll be just a bad mood, or it'll be they're drinking a lot, or it'll be something similar to that. And you don't know if it's suicide, but you can have a conversation with them. And at some point you could say, listen, I notice you're coming late to work. I notice you're putting your affairs in order. I notice you're doing things that, as someone who cares about you tremendously, you might be having thoughts of suicide, and I want to know if you are having thoughts of suicide because I'm going to be here to help you. And, never be afraid to ask, like, when you go through the training, we really go deep into what invitations look like, and we role play and practice and all of that. If now you don't have that training, just ask anyways, because the worst thing that's going to happen, or the best thing that's going to happen, is they're going to say no. And that's wonderful. And you're there to support them anyways. So if you see someone struggling, you see someone's behavior changing, their character changing, all of a sudden they're really sad, all of a sudden they're really happy, all of a sudden, they're putting their affairs in order, they're doing risky behavior, they're drinking, or they had a life situation, they just lost their job, or just, have a conversation with them. And in the conversation, just ask them, are you having thoughts of suicide? So that's what I would recommend.
Okay, thank you so much, Levi, for your time and your expertise, and for providing us your contact information, info@fcw.org. And for our local crisis center, please call 988 or text HOPE to 20121 in case you or your friends or colleagues or family members or anyone in the community is experiencing a crisis. So thank you so much, Levi, for your time. And I guess you don't have any questions anymore? Please, sorry, any tips to help seniors?
Any tips help? So seniors is actually a really important part of the population to be concerned about. It's actually quite common for seniors, especially with significant diagnosis, to have thoughts of suicide. But honestly, treating seniors the same way you treat a teenager in this sense, the rules apply the same. We want to give them the chance to know that, that there's reason to live and that there's hope. And that's our job. Our job is always to plant hope in people. It doesn't matter what their age is. And you follow the same protocols, you still ask the question, you still refer them to professionals, and you still get them help. And I'll just close with saying thank you for the opportunity to share. We're just talking about suicide prevention helps destigmatize it. It helps normalize conversation. And we have to do that because so many people are afraid to bring it up. And, we're having a conversation here, and I hope that this inspires someone to have a conversation with someone else.
Thank you so much,